First of all, I of course want something that I like, but then again I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth, so making sure that it's ethical, how much it costs.
I think that is the price, because we are students, so we don't have so much money.
Clothes that are part of the conscious movement, if you've ever heard, so like clothes that maybe like companies that are reinvesting like money back into like reusing textiles for other reasons and things like that.
The thing that I feel is the most important. I feel like I want that product at that time.
Today, plenty of information is available on the impact the apparel industry is having on people and our planet, including an insightful documentary called The True Cost. However, to give you a basic understanding, we would like to highlight some of the issues associated with the industry. As a society, we purchase 400% more clothing today than we did just 20 years ago. Last year, the worldwide consumption of textiles reached about 73 million tonnes and is expected to grow at nearly 4% annually through 2025. Yet only 20% of textiles are recycled. In the UK alone, 2.15 million tonnes of clothing and shoes are bought each year. Yet UK citizens have an estimated £30 billion worth of unused clothing sitting in their closets.
So every Friday I went shopping the last month. So yeah, usually every month, like a couple of times, and I usually buy 3-4 products for myself, yeah.
I'll never buy like one thing, I'll usually buy at least like 3, and probably no more than 5.
I'll probably say about £200 a month on clothes. Wow. Yeah.
Fashion is now one of the most labour-intensive industries, directly employing at least 60 million people, with likely more than double that indirectly dependent on the sector. Of 51 leading brands in the UK, 71% believe that there is a likelihood of modern slavery occurring at some stage of their supply chains.
So we have 3 questions that we want to ask you today. And the first one is, in your opinion, whose responsibility is it to ensure that fashion companies respect human and environmental rights?
I think it's the fashion companies' responsibility to make sure that they respect human rights. I mean, I think we need to be asking the question, why is there any item on the market that has been made in an unethical fashion, you know, that has caused serious harm to people or serious harm to the planet? And that's a question that we should be asking time and time again to the brands. Obviously, like within that legislation within the fashion industry would be very helpful. Sort of governing, you know, how people are treated, governing how the planet is treated. So more global agreements on that basis would be really good.
I think we have a shared responsibility. I don't think it's attributable to any one individual or organisation, because I think it's more like a systematic, maybe, problem.
It's the responsibility of the companies themselves to make sure that they know what's happening in their supply chain and that they take responsibility for workers in their supply chain. Clearly also it's the responsibility of governments within the countries that they're buying from to make sure that the regulations are enforced.
The sector also has a major environmental impact. It is the second biggest water polluter after agriculture and the second dirtiest industry after big oil. Fundamentally, the fashion industry operates in an unsustainable way and cannot carry on business as usual. We cannot continue chasing the cheapest labour and buying the cheapest clothing at the cost of others' suffering. We also cannot keep exploiting natural resources forever. Eventually, they will run out.
My opinion on this and on ethical fashion is that actually there's no point in your own wardrobe being ethical if the rest of the fashion industry is still as horrible as it currently is. And actually ethical fashion only accounts for about 1% of the global fashion market. So I want to keep concentrating on the 99% and bringing real change to like the 4 million garment workers in Bangladesh. So
it seems that although the company is appearing to lead the way to a more fair and sustainable fashion industry by making commendable commitments, they do not seem to follow through or provide enough concrete evidence to illustrate any positive change. Therefore, a range of non-profit organisations, campaigns and initiatives attempt to challenge fast fashion companies and their practices.
I think it begins with asking yourself questions, often, as a lot of problems do. It is good to ask brands questions as well, obviously, but also go back to yourself and think, how can I influence this problem?
My advice would be for people to sort of start with them, like pick the bit of the fashion industry that you're particularly concerned about, whether it's labour rights or the environment or body image, and find the campaign that's already going on. And if there isn't a bit of that local to you, then then set one up.
Talk to all your friends, share things on Facebook, so that people understand if you've come across an issue with a company or you think they're not ethical. And talk to your public representatives about if you think this is something that should be in the public domain and something that should be a priority. So I think that's it. I think we've already changed actually what happens in other countries in supply chains. So for example, in Bangladesh there used to be child labour, there's not child labour anymore. We've made massive improvements in the garment sector in Bangladesh as a result of public interest.
What can each of us do? First of all, each of us should reflect on our values and question consumerism. Does buying something really make you happier? Question yourself. Think of your practices and the impacts they have on the environment and other people. Your shopping practices, how you treat your clothes, the waste you produce. Second, be curious. Ask who made your clothes. Learn more about the fast fashion industry and its practices. And third, do something. You can make a difference. Write to companies asking who made your clothes. Take part in the Who Made My Clothes campaign. Contact your MP and express your concerns about supply chains of UK-based apparel brands. Raise awareness about the issues in fast fashion by talking to your friends, family and sharing information about problems in the industry.
As the end user of the product, I can, start by asking more questions of myself, actually, even before the fashion brands. So, what do I want from my clothing? Do I want clothing which lasts for 10 years or not?
So you're saying that all of us should turn into activists rather than passive, kind of consuming things that are available to us?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Morgan, the director of the True Cost movie, said he has never met a consumer. He's like, what does that even mean? And there's a view that I share with him, is that we are citizens. We're not consumers, and we have the ability to be activists rather than just shoppers. Because actually, if your worth is based upon your wallet, then that's something that can easily be taken away from you. So we need people to kind of think collectively, and think about how we can sort of take the struggle to the brands, to the governments, and actually get real change.
I think it's important to know that you can make a difference, and not to think that you can't make a difference, and how you go about that obviously is your choice. There are different ways of going about that, but I definitely think it's true that you can make a difference if you decide to.